this. Lots of people wanted to hear my take on this new Hyperloop concept that CNN ran a story on this week. And my immediate thought was, wow, that's actually really impressive for a company valued at about $500 million to release an animation of how it thinks its product will work, showing its product killing people in about the first 10 seconds.
The key to our product is guided by a design that is elegant through its simplicity, future-proof due to its modularity, and guided by the principles of this century, not the last.
I love when Virgin Hyperloop, formerly Hyperloop One, releases a new rendering of just how amazing this new technology will be. One that will whisk us between cities at about 600 miles per hour. And just look at all the intricate detail they've put into their renderings, right down to the detail in their flowers. Oh, hang on, sorry, I got confused there for a moment. Did I say how well it was going to work? I meant how it's going to kill or maim everyone who gets on board this thing if it works exactly as in their renderings. I mean, let's just take a look at a bus turning a 90-degree corner and see how long it takes, shall we? So this is the sort of max speed that you can turn a corner without drinks flying or standing people getting knocked over, that sort of thing. And turning this corner takes about 10 seconds. Now let's see how fast Hyperloop takes the same 90-degree corner. Well, 6 capsules, well, let's call it 5 to be generous, go around a 90-degree bend in 1.8 seconds. So let's say our bus is just going about 5 miles per hour, 10-ish kilometers per hour. That means that the Hyperloop is going some 25 times faster than this, or about 125 miles per hour. Now at this point, we have to pay lip service to something we scientists call physics, and what is affectionately known as terminal change of momentum.
You'll never make the turn!
Yes, it's not falling that bothers me. It's the sharp shock at the end. So to turn a 90-degree corner like this, you have to stop going in this direction and accelerate in this direction. So let's say it's going to take about 0.4 of a second to go from 125 miles per hour to 0 miles per hour. This isn't far off just crashing into a wall at that speed. For certain, the drinks won't just be sat there motionless.
I'd love to say that you'll be able to travel at 500 miles an hour without spilling a drop.
Fast, effortless journeys that expand possibilities.
Unless, of course, those caps are welded to the fuselage of the Hyperloop in an attempt to lull the passengers into a false sense of security that they're not going to die within the first 10 seconds of their Hyperloop trip.
Look, we are using a proprietary magnetic levitation system. You're literally floating on a bed of air, and it will be super smooth.
Yeah, that is the CEO of Virgin Hyperloop talking about this like this is actually what they want to build. Seriously, the best sports cars do 0 to 60 in 3 to 4 seconds. It's about 0 to 100 kph, that sort of thing. And that clocks in at about 1 G. The Hyperloop is taking that first corner about 10 times faster than that. That's giving you 10 Gs, survivable for brief moments by tensed up fighter pilots wearing a nice harness and some sort of pressure gravity suit, that sort of thing. For the other poor schmucks in this capsule, they've essentially been driven directly at a wall at 125 miles per hour and given 0.4 of a second to hang on for dear life, otherwise they're going to be flung into the wall at 125 miles per hour. And then, of course, you've not just got to slow down 10 Gs in this direction, you've got to accelerate 10 Gs in another direction at the same time.
Hyperloop is a new form of mass transportation that will set the standard for 21st century travel by connecting cities in minutes.
Now at this point, some people might defend this saying, well, I've just sped it up for an example. But no, they've put cars in there to show how fast this is relative to, say, for instance, buses. And we can see they're going roughly 10 times the speed that the buses are going at. Which means if buses are going 30 miles per hour, then our Hyperloop pods are going about 300 miles per hour here, about half the speed of sound. And this is, of course, assuming you can make that corner in the first place. I mean, for certain, if you're on a train trying to take a corner like that, you'll derail the train in an instant, because the train tracks can't take those sorts of forces. And this will be the likely outcome of the Hyperloop capsule here. And the capsule weighs some 30 tons and it's going about 10 G. So it's hitting the side of the wall there with an approximate force of 300 tons. And of course, there are 5 capsules linked together like this, so it's an effective force of about 1,500 tons. Yeah, they're really going to have to over-design the tracks here if the Hyperloop is going to be as effective as killing people as this animation shows. And then, of course, upon exiting the Hyperloop, the capsules will fall the 20 or so meters into the street, again, most likely exposing everyone on board to a terminal change of momentum, and simultaneously depressurizing the entire Hyperloop system.
It starts with a near vacuum environment inside a tube, which enables high speeds and low power consumption by nearly eliminating aerodynamic drag.
Again, killing the already dead people in the Hyperloop. This is the future. You've got to be sure about these things.
To do this, we've moved levitation, power, and propulsion onto the pod. Our proprietary levitation engines make Hyperloop 10 times more efficient than the world's fastest maglev trains today.
But even if by some miracle people manage to survive this long into the Hyperloop, Virgin Hyperloop has one last trick to make sure they finish the job they start. Virgin Hyperloop goes, whee! Now that doesn't look so bad, does it? Until you look at some simple math. You can do some rough calculations and work out that the Hyperloop is indeed here going about 600 miles per hour, 1000 kph, that sort of thing. And our Mark 1 eyeball inspection says this is a 1 in 10 grade here. That means that if you were going 600 miles an hour that way, and you've gone down a 1 in 10 grade, you're going downwards with a velocity of 60 miles per hour. And you do that in 1 second. Then you do some other number crunching where you take a look at the cabins. Most people are about 2 meters tall, so these pods are maybe 3-ish meters in diameter. And you do some rough crunching on the numbers, and you work out that it drops about 30 meters in 2 seconds. That means for the first half of the trip, you're suffering -2 Gs. That means that if you're just in this capsule alone, for the first second, you're experiencing -2 Gs, plus the one from Earth. So in practice, that means everyone drops upwards as if something were just falling here on Earth. And then, after you're pinned to the roof for 1 second, then gravity goes the other way when you decelerate again, where you'll be smashed into the ground with Jovian gravity, about 3 Gs going downwards.
Inside that tube, battery-powered pods glide at speeds up to 670 miles per hour, comfortably, safely, and quietly, using our proprietary magnetic levitation and propulsion.
One of the advantages of what we're doing is that we control the environment. The tube is completely serene in the way that it is. So if we think about air travel and turbulence, we don't have any of that is taking place here right now.
Now, it's true with some fairly decent safety harnesses, you can get 3 Gs on some of the roller coaster rides here on Earth. However, the Hyperloop is being pitched here as being so smooth you won't get the slightest vibration on your coffee.
Carrying tens of thousands of passengers per hour per direction at airplane speeds with 0 direct emissions.
And of course, they make it energy neutral by adding solar panels, right? No, they don't know the first thing about solar panels. Solar panels are always angled towards the sun to maximize power generation. Because if you don't do it, in temperate latitudes, you lose about 30% of your power production by not doing it. Which is why no temperate solar power generating facility has their solar panels lying flat on the ground. It would be like running a gas power station and just burning a third of the gas for no reason before using the rest to run your turbines. But apparently that is the way of the future for Virgin Hyperloop. Now, for these world-class people who haven't given the slightest consideration to the physics of the Hyperloop, they have given, however, fantastic thought to details like, where shall we put the wireless charging on these pods? Because, of course, it's got to be futuristic-y and modern, and wireless charging will do that for us. Because it really makes sense that if you're only going to be in there for sort of 5 minutes or something, 5 minutes of wireless charging, yeah, that sounds like a killer feature, especially seeing if you can get over that whole dying thing. For most of this journey, you'll likely be on your phone to kill time. And then it just gets crazy when you remember that this is a $500 million company. Or you can just take a look at the internal consistency of their web pages, where they say it's going to take 28 passengers. 28 passengers. Wow, let's count those 28 passengers, shall we? Well, there's maybe a seat there. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Ha! It looks like it's going to be standing room only for quite a lot of the people here.
Virgin Hyperloop out in the desert outside Las Vegas, working here. So enthusiastic and proud of what they're doing.
But it's a nice thing, focusing on a billionaire selling vaporware who isn't Elon Musk. Because you don't have to deal with the incessant whining of the Musk fanboys. And yeah, I mean, doubtless, if Team Branson's fanboys were as bad as the Musk ones.
When you're talking about the pods going at 600, 700, 800 miles an hour, both with people and with cargo, that's tremendously exciting. It means that people can avoid the misery of sitting in traffic jams for 2 hours going one way, 2 hours going another way.
Yeah, trust me, if it had been Musk who had said that, the Musk fans would have been all over it, saying how marvelous this was and criticizing me. They would be complaining about, you said that humans are about 2 meters tall and they're only about 1.7, which means you clearly don't know what you're talking about, making elementary mistakes like that. You're just cherry picking to make Branson look bad because he's rich and you're jealous of him. I mean, Branson's flown his own rockets to space and he just wants to make space accessible to everyone. And what have you ever done? Yeah, Musk fans, that's exactly how pointlessly and vapidly annoying you are. And it's also why I might eventually get around to making the video about how Musk is the only one of the space billionaire club who doesn't trust his rockets enough to gamble his own life on their reliability. Yeah, ignoring all the vapid crap that Branson fans would bring up if they were as annoying as Musk fans, none of that makes any difference. The Hyperloop being pitched here is utter vaporware. And it's as much vaporware now as before it was bought by Virgin, when it was still Hyperloop 1 some 5 years ago. But for fun, let's see how the vaporware promises have changed over the years. Yep, apparently in 2016, you could go into a vacuum chamber without an airlock.
Imagine if there were a way to travel as fast as a plane with the convenience of a metro. Imagine a ride as smooth as an elevator for the cost of a bus ticket. Let's stop imagining and build it together. Want to bring Hyperloop 1 to your country first? Enter our global challenge. Visit hyperloopchallenge.com for more info.
And just to let you know how truly empty the computer-generated graphics promises are, this is Hyperloop 1, back in 2016, of what they were going to promise for us in 2020. That's last year now. And our hero is late for a meeting, so he says, "Take me home," and immediately the options come up. Walk, 47 hours. Bus, 3 hours. Hyperloop, 12 minutes. Boat, 4 hours. Or plane, 48 minutes. Yeah, it's a good thing that we'd got rid of cars by 2020. Otherwise, he could have taken a car in about 40 minutes. And for just how truly delusional these promises are, he's now going to get into a black box. And the black boxes can be coaches or meetings or lounges. At any rate, those little black boxes are then going to drive into tubes, which are then going to go into the Hyperloop. It doesn't really quite go into the details about just how all this is meant to work, but it just works, you know? Look, it's a computer-generated animation. Then, some 12 minutes later, it just unloads all these black boxes that then just sort of do stuff, and miraculously, it's all perfectly well computerized by guys on fabulous control screens until it reaches the pod street access, at which point the black box that you've been sat in for these last 12 minutes just drives down the street somehow, you know, because reasons. And of course, this all happened in Abu Dhabi last year. If computer animations were reality. And fast forward 5 years to this.
The key to our product is guided by a design that is elegant through its simplicity, future-proof due to its modularity, and guided by the principles of this century, not the last.
And this is, of course, just looking at their animation. The Hyperloop crashes and burns on almost every front, long before you get to whether they're going to have wireless charging in the pods or not. I mean, the bottom line is, all you're really doing here is building a maglev in a vacuum tube. There is nothing more to this than that. And the maglevs alone, well, they're kind of prohibitively expensive. And the vacuum tubes, well, they probably add another 1 or 2 zeros onto the price, which is why this 100 or so year old idea never went anywhere. None of which seems to have bothered this company, which currently is valued at about $500 million. Anyway, that's today's video. I sincerely hope you enjoyed it. If you did, drop a thumbs up on it. Subscribing is always a good idea, and as ever, if you really like the work of this channel, you can support it directly through Patreon. And thanks for watching.